You know who you are. You're the one staying late, answering emails at 10 p.m., putting in the extra hours. Hell, only to watch your colleague get the promotion. It's not that they're a genius. They've just mastered the art of the Dark Triad: Narcissism, Machiavellianism, and Psychopathy. They are playing a game you don't even realize exists. And today, that changes. Psychologists claim that a cluster of personality traits, when combined in the right proportions, create a specific type of social predator in hierarchical structures. They gave it a name: the Dark Triad. 3 traits: narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy. Separately, each one is dangerous. Together, they produce someone who can climb any ladder in any organization, leaving wreckage behind them that nobody can quite explain. And the most unsettling part? The higher up you look, the more of them you find. Let's define the 3 traits briefly. Narcissism at work. We all know that person, convincing in every room. Quick to take credit when things go well, equally quick to frame failure as team incompetence, and always positioning themselves as the visionary, while everyone else handles the actual work. That is the modern workplace narcissist, not the loud, obvious egomaniac you see in movies. The real one is polished, charming, and completely invisible to people above them. Because up there, they perform flawlessly. The damage only shows up in the people around them. The narcissist doesn't steal your work because they're careless. They steal it because in their psychology, your contribution is simply a resource they are entitled to use. Machiavellian narcissism alone doesn't make someone truly dangerous. The real danger lies in what sits underneath it: a cold, calculating engine that psychologists call Machiavellianism. Where the narcissist craves admiration, the Machiavellian craves control. They don't need you to like them. They need you to be useful to them. They are the person who remembers everything you told them in confidence and files it away for later, not out of care, out of strategy. They don't make enemies. They make tools. The 3rd trait is what makes them a true predator. It's called psychopathy. While you lie awake at night replaying a difficult conversation, they sleep perfectly. While you feel guilt over a decision that hurt someone, they feel nothing. Not suppressed, nothing. Absence of remorse of any sort. And what you are left with is someone who can execute any move, in any situation, against anyone. Without hesitation, without ever looking back. Now put all 3 together: the narcissist's hunger for admiration, the Machiavellian's cold, strategic patience, the psychopath's complete absence of remorse. What you get is not just a difficult colleague. What you get is someone who believes they deserve to win, who has mapped every person in the room as either an asset or an obstacle, and who will dismantle you without guilt the moment you stop being useful. This is the Dark Triad character. They are not rare. They are not obvious. And that is exactly what makes them dangerous. How do they win when you are doing all the real work? One word: impressions. They don't outwork you. They outperform you in the rooms that matter. But that is just the surface. Underneath, 3 specific moves keep them untouchable. The first is triangulation. They manufacture conflict between 2 people to ensure neither can challenge them. They'll tell you something your colleague allegedly said about you. By the time you discover it was a lie, the trust is broken, the relationship is damaged, and they are standing in the middle, playing peacemaker. The second is performative excellence. They work louder, not harder. Team wins belong to them. The invisible, tedious work belongs to you. The third, and most dangerous, is gaslighting. They need to destabilize your reality. They insist an event happened differently than it did. They deny a directive was ever given, and slowly, without realizing it, you stop trusting your own memory, your own judgment, your own value. That is not confusion. That is a strategy. The million-dollar question is, why do you fall victim to them? Here is the reason. You feel like you are losing your mind, but you are not. Your brain is trying to make sense of an environment that has been deliberately engineered to be illogical. When you are subjected to this behavior long enough, something quietly breaks down. You develop chronic stress, then imposter syndrome, then burnout. And somewhere along the way, you start believing it is your fault. You think, if I were smarter, if I communicated better, if I just worked harder, they wouldn't treat me this way. That is exactly what they want. They need you confused, self-doubting, and stuck in a defensive posture. Because as long as you are focused on fixing yourself, you are not focused on them, and they remain completely untouchable. So how do you protect yourself against someone who has turned manipulation into an art form? 3 rules. Rule 1. The gray rock method. Manipulators crave emotional reaction. It is how they know they are in control. So you give them nothing. Become as boring and unreactive as a gray rock. When they provoke you, oh, interesting. I see. Okay. No emotion, no escalation, no fuel. If you don't feed the fire, they will move on to a more reactive target. Rule 2. Strategic detachment. Stop seeking their validation. This is the hardest step, but the most important. View them as a subject in a psychological study, not a colleague or a friend. Analyze their moves objectively instead of taking them personally. The moment you stop taking the bait, you take back your power. Rule 3. The objective record. They rely on the fact that office interactions are unrecorded and ephemeral. So you document everything. Follow up every verbal instruction with an email. Just confirming my understanding of our conversation. You are not being petty. You are creating an objective reality they cannot rewrite. You cannot outmanipulate a Dark Triad character, but you can make yourself an extremely difficult target. If you have come this far with me, you are no longer the pawn in the game they play. You know the rules. You know the thinking behind those rules. And you know how to make the game significantly harder for them to play. It is not time to stop being the victim. It is time to start being the strategist. If this video gave you clarity, give it a like. Share it with someone who needs to hear this, and subscribe. Because every week we decode the psychology behind the workplace dynamics nobody talks about openly. I will see you in the next one.